right, let's do what we do. Let's let our listeners know, should they check out the podcast, Assume Nothing, A Deadly Diagnosis. Laura Bricker, what do you think? Thumbs up or thumbs down from this podcast by BBC Radio Ulster?
Assume nothing. Assume you're not going to know anything about what this podcast is about until like the third or fourth episode, because there's no setup to actually tell you what's happening and what story you're being put in the middle of. I just felt like, why now? Why are we hearing about this now? And if we are hearing about this now, why is this not being told in a way that's a little bit more conducive to somebody who knows nothing about this case actually coming away understanding what's going on here?
So thumbs down.
Thumbs down.
The thing that was a little frustrating to me is that there were a few, I think, kind of interesting questions that kind of came up at this, and they bring up those questions, but they don't really examine them in any way that would make it like interesting, other than they sort of bring it up and you can think about it on your own. And, you know, maybe that would have been a better way of kind of framing the whole case, so that you knew kind of why you were listening to it and why you should care at this late date what had happened.
I'm going to go thumb sideways. Give it some credit for being as good as it can be for this kind of podcast, but it's still not enough for me to say, hey, go out and listen to it.
Yeah, this is a no for me. Thumbs down. This is an episode of Crimes of the Centuries. This is not a 6-part podcast, right? This is a story that could have been told efficiently in 35 minutes. I felt very disoriented. There was no setup. There was no expectation about what you're going to hear, which can be fine. This isn't like that. This is kind of a linear story told in a linear way with tons of names, tons of places, tons of detail. And I just found myself getting lost over and over and over again. So thumbs down for me for Assume Nothing, A Deadly Diagnosis.